How's it going, YouTube? The video today is going to be a tips and tricks video on one of my favorite ways to fish during the middle of the summer, and that's with a big 10-inch worm. I'm going to go through my whole setup from my rod to the size weight I use to the hook and the knot that I tie. So let's get started. We're going to start with the rod. So if you guys watched the video from last week, I'll put a little blurb right here where you can click on it. It'll take you to the video. I was fishing a 10-inch worm. I talked about this rod, but it's a Fitzgerald rod, Bryan Thrift Series frog rod. This is the rod that I throw my worm on. It's a medium heavy with a moderate fast tip, and I think that moderate fast tip is really key. When you're dragging that worm along the bottom, it allows that fish to get your worm and your hook without you feeling it super early and pulling that worm away from them. And that is really key when you're fishing a big 10-inch worm. A lot of guys like to set the hook way too early with a 10-inch worm. You have to let them eat that, because you have to imagine your hook is only in the first third of that bait, so that fish has to chomp and then chomp again to get up to your hook. I always wait to feel that second thump, unless it's on the fall. I always wait to feel that second thump for that fish to get my my 10-inch worm. The reel that I'm using is a Lew's speed spool. This is a LFS series. It's a 7-1-1. I like that 7-1-1 because I like to pick up that slack as quickly as possible. A lot of times when you're fishing that deep, you have to get that slack out of the line to be able to set the hook, because that fish is typically moving with that bait. So a 7-1-1, or this is a 7-5-1, is really key. Line size I throw, this is 16-pound Sunline Sniper. That 16-pound allows me to put this in the thick grass and not have to worry about it getting snipped off. It also allows me to have a lot of good feel. But I think it also slows that bait down when it's falling, as compared to a lot of guys that throw 12 or 14-pound tests. It allows my bait to sink a little bit more slowly, which sometimes gets me more bites when those fish are eating it really good on the fall. We're going to move on to the weight. Most often I throw a 1/4 ounce weight when I'm throwing this big 10-inch worm. I go up to 3/8 if I'm fishing really deep, and when I say really deep, I'm talking 15 plus. But if I'm fishing less than 15 feet, I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce most often. And then I fish a big 5/0 straight shank. This is the owner jungle hook, and tie it with a snell knot. If you guys don't know how to tie a snell knot, I also have a video on that. I'll put the blurb right up here as well. You can click this link. It'll take you to my video on how to tie a snell knot. But what that does is when they pull down on your bait and you set the hook, it makes that worm want to kick out. That helps that hook get to the top of their mouth. And it also has a big wide gap that allows that fish to really get that hook well. So guys, now I'm going to talk to you really quickly on how I fish this worm. A worm is not a jig, obviously, but what I do is when I make that long cast, instead of working it, first of all, I watch my line. You watch your line and wait for it to get all the way to the bottom. And as soon as it goes slack, instead of pulling up like this, like a jig, I like to turn to the side and turn my body with the worm. What I think that allows me to do, it allows me to keep that worm on the bottom a little bit more. It allows me to have a little bit better feel of what's down there. And then when that fish bites, you're really able to feel it. You pull to the side, and it gets that fish right in the side of the mouth or top of the mouth pretty much every time. So guys, that's how you fish a 10-inch worm. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoy these tips and tricks videos, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know as well. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. I upload videos 3 to 5 times per week. And until next time, take care, tight lines, God bless.